Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yeah, that's right. We are live on a Saturday. Great to have you with us. Florida Talk Real Estate. It's 2 hours of infotainment that we offer you up. And thanks for being with us. 92.1, 101.7 in the old terrestrial radio. We salute you. We also live stream on a Saturday for your 2 hours of infotainment. You can find us, Florida Talk Real Estate, on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. That's home of a ton of informational chunk videos and our live stream. Good morning to everybody joining us right out the gates. And you're welcome to be a part of the program. We got a toll-free number. You have questions, comments, concerns on the world of real estate? Dial it up, 877-927-6969. The first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, my brother from another mother. How you be?
I be fine. Good morning, Johnny. How are you today?
Fantastic, dude. It's good to see you as always.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Pleasure to have you as always. And pleasure to have you along. We have a wonderful team assembled as we do every Saturday. Let's get your introductions. Of course, I am your buddy, your pal, Johnny C., your air traffic control. We got AJ Hollman joining us on this Saturday. It's been a minute since we said good morning to AJ with experienced appraisers. Good morning, AJ. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing good.
Good to see you. We're going to need to get that mic way closer to your face, though. Wait, because everybody's got to hear you, no doubt.
All right.
Oh, there's one, man. I love that a lot better. We're going to have a lot to get into with appraisals today. Obviously, it's always great to say good morning to Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Mike, how are you?
Good morning, sir. How's that? Am I close enough?
You're projecting well.
Nice. Good morning. What's up, AJ? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. Good to be here.
AJ's a quick student.
Yeah.
Jim's been doing this like 12 years now, and every Saturday I'm like, get the mic closer.
Jim has learned so much in as many years. There's not much room left in that cranium. Right, Jim? Every new thing he remembers, he's losing something else.
The brain's got to decide what to keep
at capacity.
Of course, we are talking about our fearless leader for 12 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations, you find the Florida Home Pros team. And my guy, Jimmy D. There's Jim DePola. Jimmy D, how you be?
La 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 la.
Mike's got to get way closer to your face.
La 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 la. Really? Because I'm trying to do it for the camera.
Perfect.
I just said the S word. Never say that.
Did you get that?
Jimmy's got you.
I said, did you catch it?
Another save and a beauty.
Thank you. I never said that. I never say that.
Just saving licenses one at a time over here, Timothy.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
That's awesome.
Is that called the nip slip?
Yeah.
Remember?
That was a nip. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Justin.
If Mike takes his shirt down the way I was requesting earlier, we may get a nip slip at him.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
He was buttoning up, and I was like, why are we buttoning up?
I got singles.
You got to drop that a couple more down.
I was like, should I go one button higher, Johnny? He's like, no. Go the other way.
No, you're going wrong.
Go the other way. All right. Nice. I like your style.
Yeah, come on now. Everybody watching likes your style.
Got a lot going on this week. We're going to talk a little bit about interest rates, which are not that exciting, but the jobs report, wow, that was very interesting. Going to see how that's going to affect the real estate market. We're going to talk about down payment assistance program. The best program that's been out there for a long time is back. Right, Mike?
Back-ish. It's coming back.
Oh, I thought it's already out. I've only been reading social media because I've been waiting for you. So we're going to get into that. That's called the Hometown Heroes program. That was a super popular program last year. I think they were spending about either 5 million or 10 million a week. I think it only lasted for like 10 weeks or something. It was gone.
Yeah, it was 100 million, and it was reserved at about 10 million a week.
Yep, 10 million a week. So this is your next chance to get this wave of money. And if you don't get it this time, you got to wait a whole year. So if you're thinking about buying a house and you're thinking down payment assistance, got to catch the show. We're also going to talk about sorry, hold on. What are we going to talk about today? It's been a little crazy because we're still messing around with their technology. Hello, everybody, to our Facebook and YouTube audience. Our camera work is getting a little better each week. Mike doesn't look like a ghost anymore. I look a little bit like one.
Oh.
And we're not done with the other cameras yet. We're also going to talk about there's been a bunch of articles coming out. And since we're going to talk about down payment assistance, it'll it'll tie into this, Mike. We're going to talk about this too. Is like how much money you need to earn in South Florida to actually afford a quote starter home, right? So we're going to talk about annual salaries versus affordability in South Florida.
I'll be curious what the starter level is too.
Well, yeah, it'll be
real curious
interesting.
with
Now,
that.
this was a let's see if this was a local. This was a local newspaper story, so it might have like local information, not a national story.
Fisher Price, my first home.
And then we're going to be, right. Then we're going to be talking about Barbara Corcoran, the lady who started Corcoran Realty, and then
Shark Tank fan.
and Shark Tank.
Yeah,
Everybody knows her
that's
from
right.
Shark Tank.
Right,
I'm
We're
a
on
big
Shark Tank.
Barbara fan
Yeah.
on Shark Tank. I love it.
She's awesome.
She's
She's a
talking
beast, too.
about one of my favorite terminology. She's like, what is the magic number to really supercharge this real estate market? And she has some what I consider to be good insight as to what's going to happen once the interest rates change that everybody's waiting about.
Hmm.
And it isn't going to go the way a lot of people think it's going to go. And Barbara kind of had the same kind of views I did, so I figured it would be good to talk about it today and find out what's going on.
Interesting.
But first, we're going to do. Let's see. I want to do shout outs. And I'm trying to remember. We had so much happen this week.
Busy week.
Oh my gosh, it was a very busy week at the Florida Home Pros at Keller Williams Innovation. We've been working with a lot of investors. Let me tell you, there's a lot of investor opportunities out there. Right now, we have a 60. Now, it's not our listing, but we're allowed to advertise it. We have a 60 property portfolio of single family houses, duplexes or multifamily, townhomes, condos, and a couple of commercial like office spaces, all bundled together as one big package. They're asking $23 million for it, but the good part is they're allowed to carve out what you want. Like you could carve out, I just want the condos, or I just want this, or I just want that, so you can pick and choose. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. So if you're looking for invest property, give us a call. We're going to start going over which of these properties might be the most profitable, because some of them are going to be very profitable and some are not going to be so profitable at all.
Sure.
So you got to figure out which is the best package for you.
And these are all like in our listening area?
Mostly in Broward and a little bit in Palm on this one.
All right.
Right. And we also have we also want to congratulate Mark. Mark came to us. He is a small business owner, and he was looking for office space for his growing business. He's been working with David Stein, who really is our investment and commercial division right now. And he's been super busy with all the people in our database looking for stuff.
Nice.
And we had to get him financing because as a small business owner, Mike, and they needed a commercial loan.
Yep.
And all that. We had to go through like 3 or 4 in financing people before we can get what Mark needed. So we just got the approval yesterday. So congratulations, Mark. So now we're out actually hunting for the exact property he's looking for, which we're really happy about.
That's awesome.
We actually tried to get him into 2 properties with seller financing, and it didn't work out. So, but I'm glad that he's on the next step. We'll probably next time we'll be talking about Mark very soon. It's like, congratulations, he's in contract.
Awesome.
If you're looking for investment deals, multifamily, if you're looking just for a single family home as an investment, or a condo or a townhome, or if you're looking for a package of properties, give us a call, because we have a lot of opportunities out there. Not all of them are our listings, but we have a lot of access of off-market properties to look at for that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. It all starts at floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. You got the hotline 888-973-7828, and you'll find it again at floridatalkrealestate.com.
Let me go into here. Hold on one second. Just give me one break.
That is your one-stop real estate shop. Access to the entire team, by the way. You get everybody on the Florida Talk Real Estate site, floridatalkrealestate.com. And remember the Facebook and YouTube as well. As long as you lock in Florida Talk Real Estate, we got you.
I kind of feel like we're in a drive-in movie theater and the reel broke, and then you had to turn on the commercial again and say the same thing again because you're waiting for me to line up. Let me see. Hold on.
You might have to keep going. With
Okay, we're going to have to keep going. Everybody that
Bill.
worked with us this week, thank you very much. I don't have it all lined up, so we'll talk about it later. Mike, do you have any shout-outs for any of your customers?
Oh, geez. I'm gonna shout out to Z. I'll
Okay.
call her Z. we almost got to the finish line, and then due to inspection issues, but it got very late, and unfortunately, it had to cancel. But we did all the work. It should have been a shout out, but she canceled. So I'll shout out for on to the next.
Yeah, she has
on to
the
the
next
next.
one.
On to the next.
Yeah, well, good luck on the next one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Very important.
That's what those
That's
inspections
the
are
one
for.
that's freshest in my mind. 'Cause
Right.
like, oh, but
That's what the inspections are for, though.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, and this one it was inspections and then issues, and then they sorted them and negotiated and everything. But then at the end, it just there was an insurance question that could not be answered.
You know what, though? Sometimes it's better to walk away, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I think
making
that's
that right decision is important too.
It's tough. It's tough. You lose a lot of sleep, and to be fair, like everyone is doing the work, right? The agents and the loans team and everything. And so when it doesn't get to the finish line, it's tough. It's tough. Like I like to get to the finish line, get across,
Of
right?
course.
So
Of course. It's the mantra.
so I do have a different type of shout out today, and we're going to be working with this person to help them buy their first home.
Starter home?
Yes, and it's Keon Ellis from the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, nice.
So what a great story, this guy. He just made a big story in the athletic publication.
Uh-huh.
This is the headline: Keon Ellis's defensive disruption has taken him from undrafted afterthought to Kings starter. Is that awesome?
That is awesome.
This only came out on April 4th, so it's like a brand new article. Pretty happy for Keon. Let me tell you the experience I have with that. I'm a co-owner of Renegade Sports and Entertainment, owned by founder Jarrett Perry, who owns Perry CPA Group and does a lot of things with athletes and entertainers. Keon, I think it was in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, Keon was entering the draft. He wanted to hold a party in Orlando. So I sponsored the party out there. Went out there, had to be a couple hundred people because Keon is from North Central Florida. And a couple hundred people out there to support him, waiting for this big draft day. He doesn't get drafted.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Now, Johnny, you're into sports, so this whole thing is like, oh, yeah, that's what happens for most of the people that are in the draft. They don't get drafted. I don't know any of this stuff, right? So to me, I'm thinking, oh, everybody's telling me he's going to make it for sure. He's getting into the draft. Everybody's super excited. I hear the teams that are talking to him pre-draft. So I'm thinking, oh, everybody's telling me this is a deal. This is going to be the deal. And then it didn't happen. And everybody is so dejected at the party.
Right?
It goes
Yeah.
from celebration time to like almost like a wake, right?
Yeah. You got to start figuring out what's the next positive thing
Then
to say.
these young kids, right? They're like 20 years old or whatever, 21 years old, and they have like all this pressure on them. They work their whole life to get to this point, and then it's a deflation for them, and it's in front of their closest friends and family, like the biggest group of friends and family. It's just a horrible, horrible thing.
Sounds
And
almost
I
like-
was walking around like a zombie, not knowing what to do or anything. And then Corey, who is the agent that works with Renegade Sports, Corey was like, don't worry. We're working with a bunch of other teams. He's going to be picked up on the G League, which is like a farm league for basketball.
Yep.
And he's going to do what's called a two-way contract, which means he gets to play part-time in the farm league and part-time actually as a team for the NBA. He did get picked up, just like they said. You don't make as much money when it goes that way, but that's the way it is. But it got him in. And he worked really hard for about a year and a half. And now he got moved up and he's a starter,
There it
right?
is.
The Sacramento Kings signed a 3-year contract.
That's awesome.
Is that,
Yeah.
that's just, and that's why I love being part of the Renegade Sports Entertainment. It isn't so much the sports factor of it. I like that. I enjoy it. But it's more about the personal achievement of every person trying to make their way into the league, trying to navigate their way through the league as they're in. And I'm talking not just about basketball, but we have a lot of football people
All
too.
professional sports, sure.
And to me, that all part is just the really fascinating and very inspiring part of that. And that's what gets me really jazzed up and
These
motivated.
guys are driven. And gals.
And
driven.
Here's the other thing we're finding out. These young kids, when they start getting a little bankroll, they're not all of them aren't all bling, bling, bling. Let me get, bling, bling stuff. Some of them are like right away, hey, I want to invest this money. What's the best way to invest it? They don't know the
Smart.
best way, but they're like talking about either real estate, crypto, other types of funds. And that's one of the benefits of, being connected to Jared, he has access to all those kind of things, including financial planners and everything else to do the right things for them.
Sure.
So it's pretty exciting. And shout out to Keon. And now we're going to be helping him buy his first home, which will be really exciting.
Awesome.
Where's he buying? California?
No,
I would
he's
imagine, right?
no. Why would you? Okay, so this is a good lesson. Jared say, Mike, you know the answer
yeah,
to
I
this,
do,
right?
actually. Income tax.
Income tax. You don't want to move to California, right? So
Right.
the California will
So he's
be the
gonna
rental
just go
property.
rent there, yeah.
Right. And then he'll move to Florida. He's a hometown Florida boy, so it's a no brainer for him. But you know, if you're not moving to Florida, Jared will probably tell you to move to Tennessee or Texas. Let's see, Tennessee, Texas, I think Vegas.
I think we looked at those states recently.
And
I forget which ones they were, though.
Forgetting. I know it's Tennessee, Texas, and Florida. And the other ones. Now, one of my friends started telling me other states that don't have income tax, like South Dakota. But
Yeah,
that's
I
on
don't
there.
think people are moving.
You
into
want the
them.
list?
Yeah.
It's Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Oh, Wyoming
Wyoming.
too. I knew Washington.
I like our odds on that list.
Yes, exactly. So, well, Texas is right up there.
Texas,
Texas
is
is
good, but
competitor.
the rest are pretty far.
Yeah.
Afield.
Yeah. I don't think people are moving to Alaska too much.
Yeah,
right?
Washington's a bit of a draw. And I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
live
I
for
can
your
see
die,
that.
New Hampshire. Let's go.
Yeah. I lived in Oregon for a while. It's a beautiful area up there. If you can handle the rain, it's okay. But yeah, so anyway, congratulations to them. And soon we're going to be starting a program that we're going to be launching with Jared about teaching the kids how to invest properly in real estate. And we're going to have like a mastermind just for, I shouldn't call them kids, they're professional athletes, right?
They're kids.
But we're going to be teaching them a whole bunch of different things, and not just like normal. Well, when I say normal, not just like buy a house, fix it up and sell it, or rent. There's a whole bunch of different opportunities for these guys because of the money they have and the financial instruments they can use. So congratulations, Keon, for all your hard work, and it paid off, and I'm really happy for you. Okay, so want to round out this part with something I've been talking about this for a while, guys, about how we're really changing. The demographics down here are really changing a lot. And I keep pointing to like little things here and there. Oh, now I can't find it. Go ahead. Somebody do the commercial break real quick. Oh, here it is. I got it. I almost found it. I was like, ding, dong, ding, dong. Billionaires. Here's another thing to show that the demographics in Florida are changing, right? I've been saying for quite a while that I feel like we're going to become more Manhattan and San Francisco and Martha's Vineyards and things like that, Cape Cod, than what we all grew up. AJ, you were born and raised in Florida, right? So
Yep,
you're
right
a real
here,
Florida boy.
Right here in Palm Beach County.
Yeah. So you right here
Yeah.
in Palm Beach County. So like, are you a Florida boy too?
No, I'm from Jersey, actually.
Oh, I was
My-
gonna say.
my
Oh, you were
accent
telling him to speak louder. I thought
Yeah.
you were raising your hand like
No,
you're
no,
a Florida boy. I'm like,
Shout
I
out.
don't think-
Shout out.
Yeah.
Up, up.
Florida.
But AJ, so you were born and raised here, right? So you've seen all of this stuff. So actually, I hate to say this, but I think you were pre-air conditioning when you were born, right?
No, come on. I'm not that old. I was born in
Oh,
71,
no.
man.
Oh,
Air conditioning
71?
is like-
Okay, sorry.
Jeez, man.
I
Yeah.
thought air conditioning was like in the 60s down here. Is
You
that
sound
right?
like my niece. She's always telling me I'm a dinosaur.
Oh,
What are
he's
you
walking
on?
out my first walk out of the show.
Where did you used to tie
I'm
up the
outta here.
horses in carriage?
I have certainly seen some changes here.
But you
though.
have
It's
seen a
incredible.
lot of changes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're
And-
definitely pre-cell phone, so that does
Oh,
make
yeah.
you a
Yeah,
dinosaur.
pre-cell phone,
Definitely
yeah.
pre-cell phone.
Pre-internet. I
Oh.
mean, the kids these days have no idea, right? They've never grown up
I
without
was
without a
excited.
smartphone.
When you have the beeper go off and you got to find a payphone to find out what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah. That was me
Yeah.
in high school.
For the 12 years or so we've been on the show, I have never seen more people saying that they're selling their house to move to either a different area of the state or completely out of state. I've seen a lot of people like upsizing or downsizing over the years, but not as many people, especially middle class people, that are pulling out of the area.
That's because the billionaires are squeezing everyone
Well,
out.
no, but that's another sign is that
Wow.
there's more billionaires than ever coming in. And
Nice.
that is
Like
just
my neighborhood.
what's going to happen is the middle class is going to become the service industry to the super wealthy, and the middle class is going to be traveling pretty far to service those wealthy people. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to be over probably 15, 20 years, but we're starting it right now. When we look back, we're going to see it. So here's another sign. We had
Jimmy,
35.
Jimmy, how you feel about servicing all these people?
The wealthy.
I do it now. I do it now.
Hopefully you get paid well. You know?
Yeah, well, not really.
We've also had a lot of didn't we have some of the financial industry move into downtown
Well,
West
that's
Palm?
that's what we're going to be talking about. So last year there were 35 South Florida billionaires, right? 35 of them. This year there's 42 South Florida billionaires. Now the newest one that everybody knows is the number one guy, Jeff Bezos, because he just moved to Miami. I just read that he bought a $90 million third house so that he could live in that while he's tearing down the other two houses he bought for $147 million so that he could build one ginormous compound.
Huge compound.
So the $90
Consolidate,
million
you know,
property is just like his Pierre de Terre.
He's down there with Brady and Ivanka. Like
Yeah.
his neighbors are like, "Oh, what's up, Tom?"
Yeah, exactly.
Ivanka, how are you?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Tom.
Hey, your boat's in the way of my
Tom.
boat. Get the hell out of here.
I wonder when he moves into that new place, is it going to be like Nero, where he says, "Oh, finally a home worthy of a human being," right?
Right? I wonder how many products he's going to get from Amazon. Like, does he furnish his house through Amazon
Yeah, it's
only?
just boxes of
Yeah,
Amazon
right.
boxes out in front of that place. Yeah.
They just have like streams of trucks coming in, right? But
I wonder if he does have like special delivery settings for him. Like you same day, next day, he's like next minute, next hour.
yeah,
Right.
Well, he offloaded a bunch of his stock, so maybe he gave up some of that. You know,
He did. He uploaded a bunch of it.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought we did some math that one show as we were talking about income tax savings for him when he offloaded
Right.
the stock. Right.
Yeah, and being a Florida resident is tremendous.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
him and his ex are donating millions
Stupid.
and millions and millions of dollars to
Stupid money,
different
yeah.
charities, like
Yeah.
20. I think she just dumped off another, I don't know how many, 50 million to
Mhm.
charities.
I saw that
Yeah,
just
they're
recently.
both
Yeah.
doing it, yeah.
Yep. So there
Good
were
for them.
35
Yeah.
last year, 42 this year. One of the newest one is Bezos that came in from out of the area. Now, one of them was a local Miami guy who just hit $1 billion, kind of like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift made the $1 billion list for the first time, I guess.
When I hit Powerball, I choose the 30-year.
Oh, if you choose the 30-year, I don't know.
Would I be considered a billionaire?
I don't think
know.
so.
Like
I don't
just
think
under,
so.
huh?
No.
Man, I'll
No.
never make it.
Well, no, because
Well-
you
Invest right.
yours is spread out, right?
Yeah, it'd be 30 years of it. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah, that's
you'd only
just-
get like
no.
500 million. Only get like 500 million if you take the
Yeah.
chunk.
Either way, I don't think you're a billionaire.
Only.
Yeah, and one of them you're halfway there.
Yes.
The other one, it's like you can't spread out your income over 30 years. Otherwise, I'd be a millionaire.
I
Right-
wouldn't
right
spend
now,
too much
right?
time worrying about it.
No?
Nah, I
You don't
mean,
think the chances of winning are pretty
like
low?
that.
I'd focus on just becoming a millionaire.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
Thousandaire.
thousandaire, sure.
I got that covered.
I got $10 for it, Johnny.
I'm just trying to get on your level, AJ.
Now here's the interesting thing is the 42 billionaires down here in South Florida, there is a collective net worth of $470 billion. So even though we only increased by 35 billionaires, the net worth increased by 233. So the
Wow.
470 was last year was only 450. I mean 250, and now we're up to 470.
That Bezos brought most of that with
Yeah,
him. I would
probably
say.
was
That
Bezos.
just- yep.
And
That's
one
got
of these
Bezos
guys I had
punch.
never heard of before, but he just made an offer on the Dolphins, and I never heard of this guy before. And I guess the offer was turned down. Ken Griffin, he just made an offer to Stephen Ross to own a big piece of the Dolphins, and I guess it was turned down. What I read in the papers is that Ross wants to really pass it on to the daughters, so that he isn't ready to sell yet. But there was a big offer. It would have valued the team and the stadium at over $1 billion, like 1.2 or 1.5 billion dollars,
That's it.
which is going to be the highest team ever if they were valued at that.
Yeah, I thought the Commanders were just right around that number.
Yeah, it was just a little bit
900
below
or
that,
something.
like just
Dallas-
almost $1 billion.
Dallas is way
They're
over.
10.
Yeah, way over
They're like
that. Way
between
over
6
that.
to 10
No, but
million.
Dallas isn't for sale.
No, they're not. But
Yeah.
Miami's not either.
They're talking about the last
Gosh.
teams that were bought based on the teams that were actually sold.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like $1 billion for the Dolphins and the stadium.
Am I wrong?
Way undershooting that one way.
Am I
I
wrong?
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 10 million and not 1 but no, it wasn't 10 to 15 billion. I don't know. But anyway, the guy made an offer on the Dolphins. It would have been the highest priced football team ever if he had taken the deal.
Yeah,
And he
Commanders
turned it
was $6 billion.
There you go.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, maybe it
Sounds
was
about
10
right.
billion. I don't
Billion
know.
is
Maybe
like Fisher Price, my first NFL team.
Yeah,
I'm an old guy,
Yeah.
so a
1
billion
billion?
is a lot.
Yeah, you
A
ain't
billion's
kidding.
a lot. I'm an old guy. You know, the 20 years old, they're going to be talking about trillionaires, right? The 20-year-old.
Yeah, they
right?
didn't even have air conditioning when you were born.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh,
Nice.
AJ's still steaming. AJ's still steaming about that.
Oh, it'll be a while before I let
Oh,
that
my
one
God.
go. Jim.
Oh,
He's
gosh.
like, don't lump me in there.
I like this guy.
So a couple other things I thought was interesting. So of the 3 counties, who has the most billionaires?
Us.
Palm Beach County, you think?
Yeah. Yes.
I'd say Dade.
Okay, you think Dade? What do you think, Jimmy?
What's the county that Fort Myers is in? Because I think there's some billionaires.
Well,
over
no,
there.
no.
Was-
This is
is it-
only the Tri-County
Oh,
area.
it's gotta be over
Hillsborough?
there. All right. Well, then Palm, yeah.
Palm.
Is
I
it-
do
say
you think,
I say
AJ?
Palm Beach County. yeah.
Miami Dade.
Miami-Dade. Okay, so out of the 42, 21 are in Palm Beach County.
21. Yeah. That's half.
17 Dade County,
Boom.
and only 4 in Broward County.
Losers.
Billionaires don't like living in
Nice.
Broward County. That's what I tell you.
Either that or they got
You ever
some
been?
secret. They know. Those 4, they
Yeah.
know something.
They know something.
They know
Yeah.
something.
They're probably
So-
all on the same street.
I would
I
take
guess.
Broward County over Miami because of the
Don't say it.
rising waters.
Oh, okay.
The
all right.
rising
Yeah.
waters. That's how I would take it. You
Future
know,
investment.
Miami's like one of the worst parts in the whole world for rising waters.
Sure.
When you look at the maps for all that, it's like Miami and like Venice and Italy and a couple other places.
Yeah, because
right?
they built on a swamp.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. And then if you ever like look at the history books for maps of Florida, you know, the end of the state was so bulbous back in the day, you know, hundreds or thousands of years ago. It was gigantic.
You
It
just
was
got Timothy's attention.
way farther
It was
east and
bulbous
west.
And he turned his head.
What happened? What did I miss?
So anyway, I just think that that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting that of all this changes. And you mentioned AJ about the people moving here with all their businesses. Ken Griffin, he moved his headquarters. I guess it's a hedge fund called Citadel, and he moved his whole operation from Chicago to Miami. So
Okay.
that means if he's a billionaire and he's moving all the offices for his companies down here, that means a lot of millionaires are coming.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, to support all his businesses. So that's just more proof that these billionaires coming in, and if they're bringing their businesses, it's going to raise the income capita per person here of the people that are coming in. Now, the people leaving, what I'm hearing is 3 main things are why they're leaving. Congestion, weather, and cost.
Weather.
Yeah, weather. A lot of people are complaining it's too hot here, or they're worried about the hurricanes.
Well, those are the more recent transplants, though. I mean, the people I know that I grew up with and everything, it's strictly cost. And, you know, if they didn't already own a home 5 years ago, the way that rents have gone and they can't jump in and buy something now, so they're moving out of state. I have a lot of people I went to high school with that are moving away.
Yeah, and where are they moving, AJ? Where are you seeing them?
Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yep.
You know what they call people from Florida in that area?
Halfbackers.
Yeah, I think that's
That's
hilarious.
because they moved from New York and they went to Florida. They moved halfway back. Yeah,
Yep.
they call them halfbackers. When I lived in, when I had a place in Murphy, we'll take the call first and then we'll talk about it. Is that all right?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, let's go.
877-927-6969. That's toll free to join us. Questions, comments, concerns, want to dive into the conversation, you're more than welcome. Who we got, Jimothy?
Oh, and that's what Bobby did. Bobby needs a little advice selling his home. Bobby, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
Thank you.
Hey, Bobby.
Well, this is my question. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
A quick question. Okay, so I have a house in Port St. Lucie.
Mm-hmm.
I originally bought it for $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I did some refinancing and pulled some money out of it, so now I'm up to $300,000.
Okay.
However, I have looked at selling it, and I could get about $450 for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my question. I plan on retiring in 10 years, and at some point between now and then, I'm just going to do like a village green, like a prefab house, something I can pay cash for and not have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do I do it now, or am I better off waiting 5 or 10 years? Do you think
Well,
prices are going to go up that much more in 5 to 10 years?
my first question is just based on your rough numbers, and we're just talking rough here, okay, is that
Yep.
if you only have about $150,000 equity, you're probably not buying the house cash from the sale of the home. So would you be bringing extra money to buy the cash home?
Yes.
Okay, and you could do that if you needed to. Well, here's the thing. Nobody's going to know what's going to happen for the next 10 years, right? I mean, nobody's going to even know what's going to happen at the election in November, let alone what's going to happen in 10 years. And I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying it's hard to tell. But what I can tell you is that when you, and we have an appraiser here, so this is awesome to talk about this right now.
AJ Hollman with experienced appraisers.
Yes. So my question is when I go back and look, AJ, for appreciation for South Florida, at least, I haven't seen a negative year.
Oh, it's been quite a while. It's been since the crash.
Yeah, since the crash. So we're talking 08, 09, 010, maybe 012, maybe.
Maybe it was pretty flat after the crash. You know, there's been periods where it rose more quickly or slowly, but and sometimes it was flat, but it hasn't gone down.
Hasn't gone down.
Yeah.
So
even when you say flat, though, are we talking like 2-3% appreciation?
Like 2% a year, probably. Like with inflation, more or less.
Gotcha.
You know,
But like a normal appreciation for your home would be like 4%, right? Isn't that a pretty well established number?
I mean, what's normal? You know, we go average. That's the problem.
Average.
Yeah, I mean, probably 4 or 5% in our area, but you know, there's damn lies, and statistics. It just depends on how you look at it.
Sure, that makes sense. And so, Bobby, the chances are that if you keep your house over the next 10 years, that probably at least 8 of the 10 years, you're going to have some type of appreciation, if not all 10 years, based on our track record. So you'll probably see appreciation over time. So if you sell now, you're losing out on appreciation. However, the new house you're buying is going to appreciate too. So sometimes you have to decide which house is going to appreciate better over time, right? Do you disagree with that, AJ?
Yeah, no, I would say absolutely. You know, if you can hold them both and not put yourself in a position to where, that's the biggest thing, is just to never put yourself in a position where you're going to get caught, pinched, have to foreclose, you know. And if you can't hold on to both securely, then don't do it. Just do one.
What I mean though is, let's say that you're in a 1.5 condo. I'm just making up something, okay? And then now you're thinking about buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, right? Probably the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, all things being kind of equal, is going to appreciate better than a 1.5 condo.
For sure.
So that's
historically, for sure too.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another consideration, is what you're moving into, compare what you have now. The appreciation might grow the same amount percentage wise, but one might be more valuable than the other and get more growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And yeah.
So
and my thinking is that this is just quick. I just want to get your opinion on this. This is my opinion. My opinion is Port St. Lucie is growing. It just doesn't seem to want to stop growing, but we've got to run out of room to build houses. So I feel like we're going to have less and less houses here in the next couple of years, and it's going to become like a next metropolis in South Florida. Is that true? Do you think that's true?
The problem with Port St. Lucie, in my opinion, the reason why it hasn't exploded already, because that thing is poised and ready to go in a lot of ways. They don't have the infrastructure to support everything that happens in Broward County and Palm Beach County and Dade County. And I'm just being real about this.
Right.
There's no employers in there that really give really juicy salaries for people to work up there. So if you want a good salary, you're not working in Port St. Lucie. You might live there for affordability, but you're not going to be able to work there and afford.
But there's
afford like the kind of homes you can get in Palm Beach County.
That urban sprawl has always been what's really supported St. Lucie County, right? A lot of people work in Broward or Palm, right? And they do that commute. The affordability issue has always driven the people to Port St. Lucie. If the conversation we've had in the first opens of this show, where more money's coming into Palm Beach, you're talking about the middle class being the servicers for the ultra rich. There are already so many are priced out of Palm Beach and Broward anyway, that the pricing out probably is going to escalate as more and more money comes in. So I don't think Port St. Lucie is going to pop like that either. I think we'll continue to see that grind, but I think you can see an escalation of the urban sprawl. I think you can see people being forced even though they may not want to, forced into
Oh,
Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie.
absolutely.
So there's a chance that
there's a chance that Port St. Lucie has tried, or St. Lucie County has tried multiple times to change this around. Remember when they had the movie production company came in, right? And they made this gigantic deal and they offered so many incentives for this movie production company because they're supposed to bring in all these higher paid jobs, all these techie people with high educations. They thought tradition was just going to explode with all of these super techie people. They thought it was going to be like the Silicon Valley B, if you will. That's what they were talking about back then. Whole thing collapsed, right? So they've had a bunch of those type of try to bring in those type of opportunities to change things around. Once they get something like that and it clicks, it will take off. Like it will totally take off. But for whatever reason, they haven't been able to unlock that formula yet.
Well, I would say also don't discount the tradition, the southwest corner there, that the amount of land, the amount of development, the amount of people that are going to live there long term. I mean, that's starting to be like its own revenue generator. We're talking about servicing. Those people are going to need to be serviced, and there's thousands of them. One development.
Truth. And the other thing is I've been reading articles, and I'm not sure if these are more addy, like advertising-y kind of things, but talking about how they there's talk that St. Lucie or Port St. Lucie is going to become like the new Villages Mecca, where it's just going to become like a super 55 and over area for tons of retirees. And it's already happening a little bit. One of our customers, Lisa and David, they just ended up buying in Valencia up there. And I haven't had the pleasure of going there, but David Stein, who helped Lisa and David find the property, they said that the facilities out there were spectacular. And they could not believe how many. They felt like they were self-contained. And it was almost like
didn't need to go anywhere.
Didn't need to go anywhere necessarily.
It's almost like Abacoa, but kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it's massive. You can see it just looking at the aerial images. Just look at the map and look at the amount of land that they're going to develop. Not only what they have, but what's planned.
Yep. So that might happen, Bobby, over in this area too. I don't really think you have to worry about selling now to top out your appreciation. Like, I don't think this is as good as it gets right now. But the other thing is there's a lot of
he's talking. I don't know if
no, I can't hear him at all. He's talking.
Gotcha. Are you there, bud?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something.
Yeah, so but Bobby, I was just saying that I don't think we're at as good as it gets in the market. However, there's a lot of big question marks. Okay, so like insurance is still going to be a big question mark, especially if we have a very active hurricane season. I would like to talk about it, but Johnny won't let me.
Oh, no, do it. I love it.
I'm teasing. La Nina's coming, so supposedly we're going to have a very active hurricane season.
No, he's doing it.
Put it in the books.
I'm doing it. I know,
Put it in
right?
the books.
I'm getting new pumps for my
So those
basement
things,
this week.
all those things could affect the cycle for a period of time, Bobby, but we'll climb out of it. So I hope that.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
So what do you think? What are you leaning towards?
I'm thinking I should probably wait a while. If it's going to keep appreciating, maybe I should at least wait a year or two and see what happens.
I would just keep an eye on.
My insurance has gone out of control. It's ridiculous. It's like tripled in the last 2 years.
Well, that is a good point to make. If you have deferred maintenance coming and you could get out of those deferred maintenance issues now in order to buy the new home, there may be a benefit there. There may be a benefit.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you ever want to actually sit down and figure out all the scenarios, I'd be more than happy for free. I do this with all the customers. Sit down and figure out a plan. Sometimes it makes sense. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it means do it later. I just talked to a guy named Frank who's been talking to me now for a couple of years. He really wants to move from Vero and move down closer to Jupiter because of his grandkids. But there's some timing issues for him and some life changes that will affect his wife. So he isn't sure if it's a good idea or not. He's come to me like 3 times over the last couple of years. And each time it's like, not yet. I just don't feel it's the right move yet. And we're like, cool. And Frank's like, you guys are it when we're ready because we're not pressuring. We're trying to give them the right information. So we could do that for you too, Bobby.
Right.
Yeah, when I think about this
Okay.
question,
All right. I'll call your office.
Thank you. I
All right,
appreciate
Bobby,
it.
appreciate you very much. Have a great weekend. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Remember that. It's your one-stop real estate shop.
Right.
It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You have a
Thank
great weekend, buddy.
Mike?
877-927-6969. Mike, what were you going to say?
when I think about this question, it's more about the lifestyle, the life choices. Like, does it make sense? So if the question is, should I sell and buy now or sell and buy in 7 years? To me, the answer is going to be like, well, whatever makes the most sense for you from a lifestyle, right? I don't think
Yeah.
you're going to be able to
Where do you-
maximize profit one way because, like you said, if the home's appreciating value, well, the home that you're buying is also going to be more expensive. If your home goes down in value, the home that you're going to buy is going to go down in value as well. So to me, it's like, doesn't matter whether you do it now or 10 years. Now, if the question was, should I sell now and then buy in 7 years? That's a completely different prediction, right? Because then you're predicting that home values are going to go down by 7 years and you're going to maximize now. You can't answer that question.
It's almost like trying to short
Yeah.
the real estate market.
Yeah, you
Right now,
can't.
it's not a good time to be shorting.
Yeah.
Hey,
You want to take another phone call real quick?
yeah, that would be great.
877-927-6969.
That's
Who
the-
do we got there?
That's the number that Mark dialed. He has a question about investing in real estate. Mark, welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call this morning.
Hey, good morning. This isn't Mark L, is it?
No, this is Mark F. I used to do the clothing for the Penthouse with Johnny C. with Creek. I did all their shirts and hats for them.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Johnny's got a big
thank
smile. How you doing, Mark? How are you doing today? How can we help you?
Guys, I was wondering, what about investing in the middle of the state? What do you guys think about Sebring, Indiantown, maybe trying 50, 100, 200 acres out there? What's your view on that?
Okay, so I'm not an expert on that. So I'm going to tell you my opinion, but then I'd love to hear what AJ has about it. What are you doing? I'm sorry. What are you doing?
No
I don't
cans.
get it.
No
got
cans.
headphones.
We couldn't
Yeah,
hear the
I
question.
here we go.
Why don't you have headphones?
We just kind of started, Jim.
Oh, I have headphones.
I thought you knew that.
No, I had no idea, AJ. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I keep pointing to my ear. Do you
Oh,
think I'm having an earache or
holy
something?
moly. I'm sorry, Mark. AJ's been sitting here listening to the show, hearing us talk to other people, and has no idea what's going on.
Can't hear the
I have
caller.
no
yeah.
idea. I'm so sorry.
All right, I'm with you now.
Okay, so AJ's on. So what Mark was asking is if it would be a good idea to invest in the middle of the state, buy 50, 100 acres, 200 acres, like in Sebring, Indiantown, for long-term investment purposes.
I gotta say, I only cover really Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie. I just don't have a lot of knowledge about the market in the other areas of the state. I don't want to speak out of turn. You know,
my question is, when you're buying land that's not in a real developed area, I've had a couple of families that I know, not really from real estate, but from other profession, where they bought it and they kept it for 20 years and there was no end in sight that there was any developable use for it. It was still in the middle of an area that just wasn't developing. And I remember Paul Krasker came to me once and he had a portfolio of like 500 properties in Florida and, and like
vacant
17 counties or something. Yeah, vacant land. Most of it was vacant land. And I drove and looked at 40 properties in 4 counties for him. And there was just nothing all around this land. And I was like,
you got to really be able to sit on it for a long time.
That's
long
exactly
time.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If you're buying land, it's a long haul, and you probably, I think any of the sharp investors are basically saying, I'm buying this, and then when it's worth this amount, I'm selling. Right? I'm gonna take my profits when that happens.
now
but be prepared to wait for a while.
I'll play a little devil's advocate. If you're really sharp and you understand land and you really start researching it, like if I were to become a land person, I really wanted to master that landman, right?
Yeah.
But there's a sign up at Port St. Lucie that says, "Be a man, buy some land." I love that. I love that.
Nice.
I love that poster. But if I were really to study it, what I would be doing is finding obviously the because I got up with AJ, I lost my camera. I would be trying to find the land that's closest to the developed area. But of course, everybody's looking for that. So you always want to be right on the edge of something that's already happening.
How about Palm Bay?
Palm Bay is really, really hot right now.
Yeah.
Palm Bay is a very hot area for affordability. I have a couple that wanted to move to Palm Bay and wasn't able to because their job was in Broward and it
Right.
was too far.
That's a yeah.
But
little too
Palm
much of
Bay
a-
is becoming a very popular area. One of my customers, John and Katie, they just moved to Lake City. Now they bought 20 acres out there, Mark, and it's pretty interesting. They have two beautiful homes, a couple other structures, 20 acres, and he paid $850,000 for the whole thing, the lock, stock, and barrel. But now he found out that goats are really popular out there to take care of landscaping, to cut lawns. They're using goats out there to clear the land. And now he's thinking about becoming a goat farmer so he can rent out the goats to land out there because it's so lucrative out there.
Hell yeah, we're
So
gonna get a
he's-
bunch of fainting goats.
Yeah, so maybe you go buy something and do,
They do
the
like ground
land
clearing.
clearing with the the ground clearing.
Very efficient, cheap,
Yeah.
good environmental, no impact.
Entertaining.
Good
Fun to
fertilizer,
play with.
good
Yeah,
fertilization,
yeah.
right?
and all the
Good
TikTok
fertilization.
videos you get from it.
Do that
So you'd have to really do some research. We could get you to land experts. I know one guy I'm thinking right now that's in Central Florida. That's at Keller Williams, and he's a top land guy. So if you're really serious about that, so we can get you to somebody who really knows what they're talking about, as opposed to us bozos.
Okay. So what do you guys think about like Okeechobee then? Is that still kind of playing in the same ballpark?
Okeechobee, we put somebody in Okeechobee about a year and a half, 2 years ago, me and Mike, because of affordability for single family homes. And they worked at a supermarket that was in the Okeechobee area, so it was okay for them. Okeechobee is growing. It isn't as growing as fast as the other areas, but it is a growing area. And, it's very farm related, obviously.
But it might be a good commuter area going forward because we're
Sure.
getting built out here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
They've got some good access out that direction. I think if you're worried about congestion and housing prices, then it's a
option.
potentially desirable area.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to grow anything like PSL is going to be growing.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably not going to get the same appreciation that you're getting out here, but it is affordable.
All right, thank you guys very much. I like Okeechobee just because I moved down here about 32 years ago, and out there you still have the old Florida charm. You've got, no offense to people coming in here now, but you've got the old Florida mentality where neighbors are good people. They look out for each other. I mean, there's some fun stuff to do out there. My wife and I are into horses and cows and all that. So we kind of like, the old school farming community, that kind of thing. I'm just looking for something to kind of spread my wings out a little bit, but of being so congested all the time.
Yeah, and Okeechobee reminds me a lot when I was growing up for a couple of years up in Oregon. It reminds me of that type of communities up there, and if you like that whole country lifestyle, then Okeechobee's a great place to go because it's super affordable, and you're not like in spending Jupiter Farms money to have a little
That
spread.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I miss the alligators. We've removed every alligator from Palm Beach County, I think. I mean, when I was growing up, you had to watch out for them taking your fishing line off of instead of catching a fish, the alligators coming over.
Yeah.
They're still out there.
Yeah, they're hiding.
Yeah.
So
all right, guys, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. If you're looking at other areas than just locally here, we do help people all over, Mark. I'm not joking about this, all over the state. When John and Katie got their place in Lake City, they used an agent that we referred them out to that specializes in that area. They were really happy with the results. We can get you to the right people in the areas that you want anywhere in the state of Florida. If you want that, just give us a call.
Yeah, I'm based out of Wellington right now. We live in a place, I don't know if you guys ever called Homeland.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yep.
on 5-acre tract. Yeah, I live out there, and I bought 16 years ago for $850, and then my neighbor just sold his house for $4.2.
Yeah.
I only owe maybe $100 on my property. So
Yeah.
I'm in pretty good.
I grew up right up the street from there. The last time I was in there last year, I saw a deer. It's definitely
Nice.
still a little bit isolated out there. Not too bad, not too populated.
Yep. That market is a slow, the $4 million market. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, Mark, but I always see that days on market are much higher
Yeah, well, you've
when
got
you get up
fewer
there.
buyers that can afford it. So,
Mhm.
same thing with, if you got a really nice ocean condo or something, in the multi-million range, we typically figure 6 months instead of 3.
Yes. So make sure you give yourself time if you're thinking about selling. It isn't just necessarily going to fly off the market.
Okay. Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you. You too. Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
being with
much.
us, bud. Appreciate you. You drive safe out there and have an awesome weekend. 877-927-6969, toll free. You want to jump into the conversation? You got a question for one of the pros? Don't hesitate. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, I totally understand. I, as well, am not very comfortable on the radio. That's why I prefer to go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Get access to the entire team. Pros. We call it the one-stop real estate shop for a reason, because you get the whole team. And you get them all at one spot, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, on Facebook and YouTube as well. But remember, your one-stop real estate shop, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about Hometown Heroes program, and we're going to talk about appraisals and the value of when you should do a private appraisal and when you shouldn't do a private appraisal. We're going to get some really great advice from AJ Hollman from the name of the company is Experienced Appraiser or Appraisals?
Appraisers. Experienced appraisers.
.com?
Yep. Experiencedappraisers.com.
.com. Awesome. We're going to talk about that also. But before we have the break, I wanted to go into Open Door, and I thought this was kind of interesting. So Open Door was a company that were one of those iBuyer kind of programs. And what they were pitching is, what are you putting your house on the market for? We'll just buy it from you directly. And they were using marketing materials that were showing that you would make more money by selling to them than putting your house on the open market. Right?
Interesting.
Okay, so
It sounds completely legit.
totally
It sounds like
legit,
it's
right?
in my
Makes
best
total
interest.
sense.
Yeah.
To sell that way.
It was.
I think I'm going to sell to the person that gave me the little postcard that said, I'm going to pay you top dollars cash for your house. I'm like, what? This is
Good
the
idea.
one. How did this just land in my mailbox? Lucky day.
They only want a 100-day inspection period.
Yeah.
I saw a billboard for real estate agent when I was driving through, and it was one of those where I'll sell your house. If I can't sell your house, I'll buy it type of thing, which is, similar deal. Like, hey, sign over here, Johnny.
Yeah, just so
Guaranteed
you
to
know how
purchase your
that
house.
works
Great
is
idea.
they will buy the house, but
Yeah.
they're going to buy it at a fraction of what you could get on the open market. So
What kind of fraction?
Yes.
Like 98%
Well,
or
yeah,
90%,
right.
75%?
Well, it normally takes about 9% to sell a house. So they're taking off at least 9, which gets us back to Open Door. When these iBuyer programs came out really strong about 4 years ago or something, we were actually talking about this on the air. Now, they only became like 2 or 3% of the whole market, maybe 2 or 3% or less sold through these iBuyer programs. And then, of course, we had a lot of fun talking about how all the iBuyer programs went bankrupt, right? Because they didn't know what they were doing, right? So they're all like didn't understand real estate, even though they were in the real estate industry. Well, Open Door has a little different situation. They actually were sued, and they just settled for $62 million. And what the lawsuit was over was that they were misrepresenting that by selling your house to Open Door, that you can make as much or more money than if you put it on the open market. The FTC said that was totally illegal, that you shouldn't have marketed that way. There was no proof to back it up. And it was funny, at that time, Trident Title had an app where we compared. I don't know if you remember this, Johnny, but we even did it on the show where you compared if you were to do an iBuyer program versus a regular realtor and what the difference was. And it showed that you made about 9% more with the real estate agent over these iBuyer programs.
Even after your fees and closing costs. And
yes, because what happens is with the iBuyers, they focus on the commission. Like we have such a low commission compared to the open market, but they have a lot of extra fees. They have all these fees. I call them garbage fees, but they're fees that are normally built into a real estate commission that are part of costs in a way. And then they just start a la carting you with fees, and the fees add up more than what you would have paid on the open market for the cost of selling the house. And you probably would have got more money if you put it on the open market.
Well, I mean, they have to make a profit. So obviously there's money there that they're not
Exactly,
saving
they're not-
themselves that much money. They're
Yeah.
making it by flipping your house for more money.
But what people don't get is that the people that use those programs, what they're doing is, and it's okay if you decide to do this. If you want to lose money, but it's more of a convenience fee, right? So it's convenience. I don't want to show my house. I don't want to stage my house. I don't want to like go through a bunch of showings and offers and negotiate and
For
all
sure,
this
it
stuff.
does do that. And if that's worth it to you, you know, then
That's what I'm
and
saying,
it might
live and
be.
let live.
Maybe there's reasons for it.
Yeah,
You know?
live and let live. So I'm not judging, but if you're trying to maximize your profits, that is not a way to go.
Well, there's a real world comment right here from PF. Just sold an investment property in North Florida for $420K. Open door offered $325.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Sold for
That's okay.
$420. Open door offered $325.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
people like
Thank you,
imagine like Dahmer would use an iBuyer program. You know, what
Wow.
I'm saying? You know,
Just that type
Well,
of
because you
mentality.
don't want
wanna-
people walking through the house
you
and
don't
looking
want-
in the fridge. And
right?
that
Why would you
makes
want
sense.
that?
Yeah. I
They don't
gotcha.
want to step on that fresh poured concrete in the basement.
Right.
Sight unseen.
Like I can figure
Thanks
out
for
a
the
scenario
ideas.
where
I
that would make
appreciate
sense.
it. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, hold
I
on,
like
I'm
that.
taking notes. Can these guys slow down?
Why would I want to take $100,000 haircut? Well,
Some people just aren't cut out to have people walking through their house, John.
that's right.
Like it's just not going to work.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Johnny, he doesn't mind if people drive through his house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Come
go
on
ahead,
in.
Slam your
Come
car.
on in,
Yeah,
just
it's
have
fine.
fun.
We're good.
So
Still
so
waiting for the insurance to pay me.
iBuyers
Wow.
are still out there.
Still.
The iBuyer programs are still out there. If you're thinking about iBuyer, go ahead and investigate it. But my advice is also talk to a seasoned agent to see what they can do for you and see the cost benefit analysis
Sure.
so that you can make an informed decision. So,
And what does it cost somebody to have that type of consultation, Jeff?
Thank you, Mike, for the nice softball, slow pitch. I'm not going to whip it. Free. It's free. All of your advice is free. If you want to ask Mike questions, if you want to ask AJ questions, me questions,
Yeah.
the law
Well,
office of Paola Krasker, Trident Title, on and on and on. Ross Cameronet's Brightway Insurance.
I'm going to
It's free.
start charging for the good stuff, though.
Yeah.
Right. Like you want general answers, no problem. You want the no.
We just had an estate sale where there's real estate involved, so I'm involved in the transaction, and Paul gave us an hour and a half to go over everything with the family, didn't charge them anything, and then didn't take the case and referred the case out to Broward County.
Wow.
And he spent an hour and a half with us. Is that cool or
He's
what?
awesome.
And it's free. So if you ever have any kind of questions about real estate, you really got to give us a call. There's all kinds of people that call us. We had a really good, here's a success story. I'll wrap up on this and then we'll take the break, Jimmy. I forgot Daniel called yesterday. Here's a great success story. Daniel called me in a panic about a week and a half ago. He had just gotten notice for eviction. The reason why he was getting, and he had been in the house several years, and the reason why he was getting evicted is that his wife had an emergency when they were having their first child. He was in the emergency room, the ICU, and it was a very elaborate thing. And he missed his mortgage payment because of it. And
Rent or mortgage?
rent payment. I'm sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you. He missed his rent payment. And the company that he's working with is one of those big companies we used to talk about that gobbled up all the rental homes, like gobbled up all the single family homes for rent. And those people do not mess around if you don't make your payment. So they filed the eviction within 3 days. And he wasn't sure what to do. And I'm like, Daniel, look, I'm going to get you to this specialized landlord attorney, and you got to call him right away because you don't have time to mess around. But my thing is, I would start scraping whatever money you can get and make that rent payment current again, because his rent was so low compared to what he was going to get on the open market if he were to do it. And he's got a brand new baby, right?
And an eviction potentially.
Right. Who had just had a major medical problem, so they didn't know what else was going to come up. I just got the message yesterday. I was so busy. I couldn't even, I forgot until just now. He sent me a really nice note yesterday saying, hey, everything worked out perfect. The advice you gave me
That's great.
Was great. So
Awesome.
we saved the family from eviction.
Excellent.
And it made me feel really good. So, and we didn't get paid for that, guys. People had needed help. We had the resources to help them. We got them out. Yesterday, we had a guy named Ken. He called up because something fell off of his roof. And he also had some repairs in his house. We have him out to somebody right now. So if you need anything, just think of us as the one-stop real estate shop, Johnny.
That's it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. You can change lives. But when you're going to buy a home, sell a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do, or you find yourself in a situation like we just heard. You got to have pros. People that are not only good at what they do, great at what they do. And when you can choose to go to people that are great at what they do, that's where you should go. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Again, know it, use it, love it, share it. It's a resource of amazing pros. We call it the one-stop real estate shop for a reason. We're back in 4 minutes. Got a toll-free number if you'd like to join the program, 877-927-6969. You're welcome to jump on right now. We'll get to your call. 4 minutes from now, we're back at it. Hour number 2 at 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
The visual aid you need for all the freaky stuff we talk about on the radio. Find it at realradio921.com. Real Radio weather.
From the Gordon Partners Weather Center. Have you been injured in a motor vehicle accident? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Beautiful sunny blue skies throughout the rest of the day today. Temperatures still warming up, forecasted to top out in the upper 70s, low 80s. We have winds coming out of the north still behind that front that moved through the other day. That's keeping our dew points very low, helping it feel nice and comfortable when you step outside the door.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And with My Lowe's Rewards, your savings just keep coming with members-only offers. Learn more about the new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because FloridaTalkRealEstate.com has you covered. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800 800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's right. We are live on a Saturday. What is today? April 6th, 10:05 on your Real Radio dial. Great to have you with us. Hour number 2, Florida Talk Real Estate. 2 hours of infotainment is what we offer you up. We'll get you into the locker room before you know it here on Real Radio. Thanks for being with us, tuning in on the radio. Of course, live streaming as well. You can find us on Florida Talk Real Estate's Facebook page and Florida Talk Real Estate on YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. Live streaming on both platforms. Great to have you along for the ride. I'm your boy, Johnny C. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen.
We got a toll-free number, 877-927-6969, if you want to jump into the conversation or talk to one of the pros like AJ Hollman with Experienced Appraisers with us on this Saturday. How are you, my friend?
Doing great this morning.
Always good to see you. We got Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you, my friend?
Whoa, doing great. Yeah, sorry, jeez, got so excited to talk to you. Doing great, John.
You too.
And if you missed you're like, what happened? Well, you should have been with us on the live stream.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you would have saw it.
With these high quality cameras we got going there.
Boom. Shock the
How am I looking, Jim? Oh, I mean,
Yeah, you move the thing around. Look at your. Yeah.
How you looking?
Cool. That's better.
You're looking good. That's Jimmy D.
Yeah.
He's our fearless leader.
Okay.
Jim DePola has run a top producing Keller Williams team for 12 plus years now. I've been telling you that. Keller Williams Innovations to find the Florida Home Pros team. And Jimmy B, how you be?
Some people would say clueless leader, not fearless. But it's kind of the same thing, just a different
You got to be fearless if you're
right?
going to be clueless, don't you?
Yeah, if you're clueless, you are fearless.
I like
right?
that. I like that.
So let's talk about down payment assistance. We really haven't talked about it in a while, Mike. And there was a program last year called the Hometown Heroes Program.
Yep.
And one of the things that was great about that program is at first it was just for a few select type of professions. Which is why they called it Hometown Heroes, police officers, firefighters, medical field, teachers, things like that. But then they opened it up last year to like over 100 professions, which is really great. It's really great, except if you're a teacher, police officer, firefighter.
Yeah.
Mike went through that last year where he felt like all those guys kind of got pushed aside. But
well, it's still called Hometown Heroes too. And so it used to be, so the origin of it was for frontline employees, right? So your police, fire, they actually expanded it. It was probably, I think 2 years ago, they expanded it to something like, 100 professions, right? So it included a lot of the professions that weren't doctors or police and fire, right? But they were medical related, education related. What they did last year, Jim, was they opened it up to pretty much everybody, all first-time home buyers. So it's no longer profession specific. Basically, first-time home buyer, income under a certain threshold, you're eligible for this program. And so that's when, it was great news for everybody, but it was the funds
went fast. How fast? We figured out last week, and last year we were pretty good at figuring this out. Was about 10 million a week. So if you had 100 million, it was gone in 10 weeks. And we kept telling people, use it. And then people came, of course, like a month after it was all gone. And it's like, wow, you could have got, $15,000 from the state to help you buy the house.
Or even by the time it started, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be prepared ahead of time.
There were, this time last year, we had similar conversations, which was, hey, they're going to open it up to everybody. And I think in that first week, Jim, it was something like 30 million of the 100 in the first week got reserved because people were kind of waiting for it to, they're out there, they're shopping. Boom. As soon as it opened, a lot of funds reserved. And then once that settled down, then it got down to that 10 million a week. Now, luckily, last year, once the original 100 million was used up, there's fallout from those reservations, right? So the funds are reserved. And then it closes 30, 45 days later, whatever it is. If the loans don't close, those funds get shifted back into the open pool, right? So there was many cycles of that where the reservations just didn't close. Not everybody operates the way I do, which is only getting into contracts that close, Johnny. There's a lot of people who get into contracts and they don't close.
He's
right
about that.
Right? Like that happens out there. But then that started to dwindle, and then they actually refunded the program. I think they put in another 30 something million at some point last year. So it kind of extended the legs of it after that original round was gone.
And Mike was really good at making sure if money went back into the coffers that he saw if there was an opportunity to grab it, he did for his customers, which is another reason why you should talk to Mike from the mortgage firm.
Another layer of awesome.
And nobody's asking him to do that. He just does that as part of the process.
Yeah, part of it is just identifying clients where they fit the parameters of the program, talk to them about whether it's going to make sense for them, and then just try to, even if the funds aren't available, just really keeping on top of if they come available, we're going to be pouncing.
So just remind us how the program works again, Mike. So first time home buyer doesn't really mean first time home buyer, right? That's just a definition. So
it just means that you haven't owned a primary home. So a home you lived in, you haven't owned that in the last 3 years, right? So if you sold a home 5 years ago, you're fine, right? If you own an investment property, but not a primary home, you're okay. There are certain veterans are exempt from the first time home buyer requirement, that 3-year requirement. So even if you own a current primary as a military vet, you would be eligible.
Oh, cool. That's interesting.
So yeah, the first time home buyer doesn't necessarily mean it's the first home you ever buy.
And then you get up to 5%, not of the purchase price of the loan amount, correct?
That's right.
So explain the math behind that, because people sometimes don't know the difference.
Well, so usually whenever you're doing financing, your loan is a percentage of the purchase price. So we talk about 20% down payment. Well, then your loan is 80% of the value, the purchase price of the home. So there's just the purchase price is not the same as loan amount.
So if you had $100,000 home and you're putting 20% down, you would take $80,000,
right?
Which is minus the 20%, and you times it by 5%, and then that would get you 80 times 5, $3,200, right?
No, 4,000. 4,000.
Right. What am I? 8 times 5 is 40. Yeah, $4,000. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm having a bad day.
That's weird. I don't do the math in my head that way, but we ended at the same number, right? Yeah, which is $4,000, 5% of 80. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's $4,000 that you would get. That is not rolled into your loan as a part of the interest rate. It's like kept on the back side of the loan, where you still have to pay that money back if you.
So. Yeah, that money can be used towards your 20% down payment, right? So that's and we're saying 20%, but you could do this with 0% down on a VA loan. You could do it with 3.5% down FHA. You could do as little as 3% on a conventional loan. So all of those are on the table as well. And the funds can be used to cover your down payment obligation plus any of your closing costs. So any of the cash required on the buy side of transaction can come from this down payment assistance. Now, the down payment assistance is you don't repay it. It's zero interest. There's zero payment, but it does stay attached to the home as a lien in the second lien position. So you have your first mortgage, and then you have this second mortgage essentially after it. You never make a payment on it, but it is repayable if the loan, that 30-year first mortgage, is paid off before its full maturity, right? So how does that happen? You sell your home. Boom, you're going to pay off that loan. You got to pay back the Hometown Heroes funds, the down payment assistance. And this is the same for all the down payment assistance programs, mostly. There's some that are forgivable, but not this program. Refinance. Boom. You're gonna satisfy that first mortgage early. Down payment assistance is repayable.
So that's always going to be a part of the math for the refinance.
Yeah, you just got to look at it. It's not you're not really coming out of pocket. Technically, it's just your proceeds when you sell are going to be less. The amount of money you have to refinance, if you're doing cash out or whatever, is going to be
a little bit more.
Exactly.
But it can help you get in there. It can help you qualify.
It gets your foot in the door. Like 100%. What I tell people is, like, if this gets you in, or this puts you in a better financial position after you're in, don't worry about the repayable nature. Now, the one that'll sting you is if you move out of the home, but keep it as an investment property, Johnny, because then you got to pay it back. And where's that money coming from? It's coming from your pocket. Right. So,
how does that work, by the way? Like, how do they know when
I was going to ask you the same thing.
I don't know. I don't think it's been around long enough to really know how they're monitoring that. I don't know if you're like filling out an affidavit every year. I don't know if they're getting notifications from the property appraiser's office, like, hey, the homestead exemption changed on this home, or title changed on this home, or something like that. So I don't know the answer to that. But I when I tell people, I say, listen, if you're moving out and keeping it, just be prepared that they're going to come knocking. They're going to come calling for that money.
Right.
There was actually, this is the week anniversary for Robert and his brother, who bought a townhome from us last year.
Yeah.
And Mike was the mortgage person for Robert and his brother, and they also had down payment assistance in that program.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were very frustrated because Robert and his brother were looking to buy for a very, very long time, years. Okay. And they never, they always felt that the timing wasn't right. They were one of the people that were trying to bet on what was going to happen to the market. Interest rates were going to drop, or the market was going to crash. And, and the rent got higher and higher and higher. And they got to the point where they were actually looking at buying remember, they were going to actually buy a mobile home at one point. Remember, Mike, they were looking at mobile homes at one point.
Yep.
And
they were in contract to buy one.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
The seller couldn't sell, it turned out. He didn't have proper title to sell the home, to
they
convey
were
it.
so, and it was so happy that they didn't get that deal, because they ended up getting a townhome in Deerfield.
Yeah.
The townhome needed work and everything, so I'm sure they've worked on it a little bit since they moved in. But I just did a recent comp in that neighborhood, and I think they've got more than 10% appreciation in a year in that property, because it was at a lower price point. So a lot of people still want to be over
desirable.
there. Yeah. So they did very, very well. And instead of worrying about what was going to happen in the market or anything, because last year the interest rates were pretty high. Interest rates were kind of shocking last year, because that's when we really had the big buildup in interest rates. We got up to 7.79 last year. And they went ahead and decided they were going to do it because they needed to do it. And now I'm sure they're looking really great, because they have equity in the home.
Sure.
They use down payment assistance. So they I think they moved into that house for like $8,000 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't bad.
It was less than first class security if they were on the outside just renting.
Right.
And because of the down payment assistance, they were able to get it.
That's awesome.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Robert or his brother was a vet. So thank you for your service.
That's
I don't
right.
know if they used the veterans loan or not. I think they didn't, but they were vets.
I forget exact. Oh, you know what? Only one of them was a vet. When you're buying together,
that's right.
The VA loan is for veteran and spouse.
That's right.
Only, right?
And by combining, they moved up to the townhome, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
They went in together. But,
yeah. So I'm really happy. And, that was a smart move. Now they have equity in a house.
Just a really great example of where the down payment assistance can just help you get over that hump. So a lot of times the challenge for people, like, they're qualified from a credit perspective. They qualify from a payment, they qualify for some payment that works from a budget perspective and can find a house, and it's the cash. And so the down payment assistance programs are really, really helpful getting over that last hurdle, which is how much cash you need, because you need thousands and thousands to do this, right? To buy a home. And it's hard to save that, especially when rent's high and cost of living's high and wages aren't what you would hope for. Mm-hmm. So they've been really helpful. They're going to refund. So Hometown Heroes, getting back to that, it's going to be refunded here the fiscal year. So it's going to be July 1st.
So that's the evergreen portion of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and this is anticipated. It's not guaranteed, but evergreen meaning they're going to fund it every year. How much are they going to fund it? Who knows? I think they're anticipating another $100 million round.
When somebody pays off, right? They
those go back. Sure.
It dumps right back in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It goes
back
back
in. Which I really like. That's a really
good
great part of the program.
And Hometown Heroes is not the only one. It's the best one because the 5% number, Johnny. So you get basically $5,000 for every $100,000 you borrow. If you're borrowing $300,000, that's $15,000, right? $400,000, $20,000, so on and so forth. And so the other down payment assistance that's out there is something like $10,000, which at the right price point, if you're in the 200 to 250 range, you're basically
getting the same thing.
And you get the same benefits, and you don't need to wait for the heroes. You're not dependent on the funding of the Hometown Heroes. So I think we can anticipate $100 million starting July 1st. It's going to go quick. We're talking about it now because you don't wait till July to say, hey, now I want to get in on this, right? You kind of need to, if you are going to be a buyer the second half of this year, even right now, like even say we talk right now and 10,000, which gets you in, like that's available. Right.
Yeah, we can get you 10,000 right now if you meet the program. Yep.
Yeah,
And the program isn't hard, right? That $10,000 bond program is not a hard program to get into. It's no harder than Hometown
There's
Heroes,
no test.
right?
There's no test
Yeah.
required. You don't have to have a certain level.
No
It's just,
math.
you just have to qualify, right? So there's some parameters, right? There's minimum credit score. There's maximum income amounts.
Mhm.
So you just need to talk to
But
somebody
the
who
income
knows.
outs-
I was
the
going
ins
to
and
need a
outs.
loan
But the
officer that
point,
knows what they're doing.
the point I'm
Exactly.
making is like the income amounts are pretty healthy to
Yes.
get the down payment.
Sure.
Most people think, oh, if I'm getting down payment assistance, I have to have very low income.
That's
it isn't
right.
really like that.
No,
When I got my original, we know the one I paid off when I refied, Mike.
Mhm.
We actually had to find more income to qualify it for it.
Hmm.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to be above an income threshold.
Yeah, we actually there was a weird scenario for this particular one. We weren't making enough money, so we
Wow.
actually had to like kind of
You don't make enough to
pay
get the
back.
assistance.
to get the assistance. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was
Interesting.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I think the point is we're talking about it now because if you're going to be a buyer, whether it's now or later this year, and you're wanting down payment assistance, now's the time to get out in front of that.
So let's talk about that. That's so important. I want to super emphasize this. If you're going to be a buyer, or you think you might be a buyer sometime later this year,
or you know somebody that might be a buyer.
thank you.
Yeah.
You've got to start working on it now if you want to take advantage of these down payment assistance programs and to create the right plan for you so you're not in a rush. Let me tell you what happened last time we had the down payment assistance programs the last couple of years. When they're available, a lot more buyers come out of the woodwork that have been sitting on the sidelines, just like you. The person that's listening saying, I think I might want this program. You're not the only one that's thinking that way. There is a lot of people waiting just like you to do this. So don't become part of the what I call herd mentality. Try to get ahead of the curve by getting in there and knowing your numbers and having your financing lined up. Set up an MLS search so that even if you're not buying right this second, that you know what the inventory is like, so you really can gauge the inventory, what's in my price range of what I want based on real numbers, knowing how much you can get for the down payment assistance. And now you're in way better control and you're 95% above most of the buyers that are running around trying to look for a house.
Yeah. And in that process, not only are you going to hone in on kind of what you're looking for, right? Because a lot of people don't really know, Johnny. You know, you want bedrooms, bathrooms, maybe some sort of general area, but you don't really have a pulse on what's available in your price point in the market.
And I want a moat. I
And-
have to
and-
have a moat around my house.
Yeah, like if you're
With
looking for a
gators.
moat,
I was
right?
just
There's
thinking
going to
about the
be
gators.
only
Gotta get
so
gators
many.
for AJ.
Only so many, but it just allows you to really dial in on what you're looking for so that when that one presents itself, even if you do run the risk of finding the perfect home gym and then just not being able to buy it, right? Because
That happens.
so there's a little bit of emotional kind of turmoil potentially. But what if 10,000 is enough, right? What if 10,000 makes or breaks it right now and you don't need to wait, right? So there's potential for that as well.
And you don't know until you find out. And there's nothing like
Whoa,
nobody's gonna.
that was deep.
Well,
You don't know
until you find out for real.
you're
And
about
the
to
thing
find
is,
out.
is like you can assume that you know, but knowing is different than assuming.
That's
right?
right.
So you go, oh, I can't afford this right now, or this or that. Well, find out for real, because you know
Yeah, 'cause
what?
you got
If you-
known knowns and there's unknown knowns.
there's unknown knowns.
there's
and
known
there's
unknowns.
known
And then-
unknowns.
right, you
There's
gotta-
known unknowns.
Mike
And there's
knows all
unknown
the
unknowns.
Here's what I say: when you know, and when you don't know,
You don't-
you know.
I'm still looking for that $1 trillion that was missing. That remember? You know what I'm talking about with
Forget
Roosevelt?
about that.
Yeah, just never mind. Never mind. $1 trillion.
Pretend like I didn't even say that.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know what happened
Well,
with
you
that.
know, Jim, I think it comes back to, you said earlier about making an informed decision. And I see this a lot with people that you need the time to understand it all, to make that informed decision so that you're comfortable, that you're ready to pull the trigger when those funds are available and you're not kind of sitting on the fence and still trying to figure things out.
Exactly.
There is one ingredient you need to make an informed decision, Johnny. What is it?
Mike Rao.
Information.
I was thinking
You need
of-
information.
I knew that one.
Yeah,
that's
AJ
it.
had it.
Yeah.
I knew that. That's why I asked Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got to have information, and you get information, good information, because there's a lot of information out there. How valuable is that information?
Sure.
How accurate is that information? You got to go to people that are great at what they do and get the information that you need.
We're just one phone call away. So just give us a call. We'll get you over to Mike. Mike will help you with your numbers. You know, Mike had 3 apps this week for our buyers, right? Which is awesome. Those apps that Mike has from the mortgage firm are really great ways, really great tools on how to narrow your search down and really understand your numbers in a different way. And we just had Jason come on. Jason's going to be buying a property for his mom, and that app is because he's a numbers guy, Mike. So Jason's going to be using that app a lot.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, sure.
So bottom line on this, the down payment assistance program is coming out soon. If you want to take advantage of it, start working on it now. We're one phone call away, and we don't bite, and we'll give you the answers that you need. And even if the answer is no, we don't really tell you no. We just tell you not right now and tell you how to make it work so it turns into a yes.
I'm trying to
there
think
are
of-
no such things as no with us. It's just not right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying to think anytime I've told somebody no, never. Right? Like, no,
Yeah, I
this
don't
ain't
think
gonna
that's
happen
ever
for you,
happened. Yeah,
right?
that's never happened because you could always turn things
Now,
around.
some people I say, hey, listen, because of this, you got to wait 3 years. But here's our date, and in these next 3 years, focus on this, focus on these specific things. But usually that's pretty rare these days. But yeah, it's kind of like if there are things that you need to know what's the earliest you could do something, right? And so sometimes that could be based on cash. Sometimes it could be based on credit, right? Those are the two things where usually you need some sort of massaging, right? Potentially.
Last thing I want to talk about with the buyers in the market right now, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to go right into appraisals on the last half of the show, the last half hour of the show. One of the things you understand is the interest rates. We're probably not going to get into the financing job market today with Johnny because I'm going to wait till next week because I want to go deep on that. But the bottom line is that the interest rates, I'm not betting that the June they're going to do the cut. Everybody's thinking that June we're going to have a small cut. You know, even if they cut, it's probably going to be a quarter point. I'm talking about the Fed now. It'll only be a quarter point.
I mean, that'd be nice.
And that'll help, but it isn't going to like change the world on your purchasing decision. A quarter point should not make or break, 90-something% of the people out there. So don't be counting on the interest rates to help make your decision right now because you're going to be waiting a little bit longer. The jobs report came out too strong, in my opinion, to go ahead and do that cut. And if they don't do the cut in June, we might not get those quote 3 cuts that they were predicting at just last month. I don't think that might happen. So interest rates right now are in the high, 6.82, I think, is what the interest rate is today.
Right.
We went up 0.03, which is basically nothing. We've been flat around 6.75-ish now for about 3 or 4 weeks. I don't see that changing much. Might go down under 6.5 a little bit, but it just is easily to be at 6.8 like we are now. So I think that was pretty much what we're going to see for a big part of this year. So don't be relying on interest rates to make your decision. You should be using other decisions in order to make best decision for you and your family to buy. On the flip side, we're going to talk about appraisals. It's very important right now. And we're also going to talk about a private appraisal. It's not just like when the person has lending and they're coming in. We're talking about a private appraisal. When should a homeowner determine the value of their home and when should they make that decision? And we're going to talk to AJ, and he'll even give us some advice on when not to do the appraisal and when it might not be valuable to do it.
That's right. You got to have people that are great at what they do. That's why we lean on the best of the best here at Florida Talk Real Estate. A team of pros. You get them all at floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. Write it down. Know it, use it, love it, share it. On Facebook and YouTube as well. But floridatalkrealestate.com, your main source, the one-stop real estate shop. We're back in 4 minutes. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate. It's right here on Real Radio.
We're everywhere you need to be. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Here's what's happening with the weather on Real Radio.
From the Gordon & Partners Weather Center, have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Beautiful sunny blue skies throughout the rest of the day today. Temperatures still warming up, forecasted to top out in the upper 70s, low 80s. We have winds coming out of the north, still behind that front that moved through the other day. That's keeping our dew points very low. helping it feel nice and comfortable when you step outside the door.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And with My Lowe's Rewards, your savings just keep coming with members-only offers. Learn more about the new loyalty program at Lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Say it again, 877-927-6969. Should you want to squeeze in some conversation, question, comment, concern? You got about 27 minutes, so I encourage you to do it sooner than later. I'm your boy, Johnny C. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen.
We got locker room in 27, 29 minutes, something like that.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Got some finals coming up this weekend, hey?
Yeah, a little stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got
baseball action starting up.
Yeah, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers swept the Giants. Figured I'd just throw that out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, why not?
Funny you know that.
Yeah, I hit my West Coast throwing up all those Giant friends. Yeah, you know. I was like, anybody got a dustpan? And you sweep up all this pile of crap the dog is just swept. They did not like that very much.
Hey, the Yankees swept the Astros, so I'm happy about that.
Come on.
I
Yeah.
love them.
So Locker Room Live, lots getting into.
Absolutely. Yep. 4 hours of magic.
Beautiful thing. Great to lead in every Saturday here on Real Radio. Let's say good morning to Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, my friend.
Yep, still here.
Still
just,
here?
Just in a different spot.
You hang out a little bit?
Yeah. How do I sound?
You
Same?
You sound fantastic.
Okay, great.
You look
Hi.
great too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Not so bad yourself.
Just trying to get in your pants.
I love that hat, by the way. Is that new?
No.
No. Looks new.
Yeah, I did not coordinate what I was supposed to wear this morning. You know, I normally wear my black Kangol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot this morning. I'm a short timer. I'm on vacation right now.
What's the button on the hat?
That is the Tool Army logo. Same thing on my shirt.
Oh, okay.
It's a Tool hat.
So
Tool
you are
Army's their fan
coordinated.
club.
Okay.
I am a little coordinated.
You are coordinated.
Yeah, just not
Nice.
appropriately for the radio.
Nice. Got your black thong on too?
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
Yes. Consistency and predictability will really let you down, Jimmy.
You know that the singer, what's
Maynard James.
Yeah, man,
Keenan.
he rolls jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's beast.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he is. We're gonna roll one day, Mike, you and me.
Boom.
Yeah.
Down the hill.
Ooh, it was some baby oil.
Yeah.
Come on. AJ Hollman is with us, and it's great to have him with us because we're about to dive into some real expertise. ExperienceAppraisers.com is where you'll find AJ Hollman. Great to have you with us on this Saturday.
Good morning.
And Jimmy D's here too. That's our fearless leader. 12 plus years, Tony. He runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations, the Florida Home Pros team. You'll find Jim Paola. There's Jimmy D.
Have to say it. Happy South Florida, everybody.
Come on.
So I'm so glad that AJ's here. You know, I was just thinking while you were doing the intros and everything about like how many times AJ has saved my customers' butts over the time. Remember one time, AJ, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, where we had an appraisal that came in low. And you actually took about a half hour with me, maybe even longer on the phone, going over the properties and the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I remember
And
it was
then-
a townhome, I think.
Yeah, and what was great about it was he gave me, this is the part I loved, he gave me appraiser lingo that I could actually use in the, as Mike calls it, reconsideration.
Yeah.
I call it a
The
dispute, but
The
it's,
rebuttal.
it's called an appraisal. What is it called? An appraisal reconsideration.
Yeah, request for reconsideration of value.
Yeah, what that really means is, hey, appraiser, I think you're a dumbass.
That's usually the, I mean, AJ,
Oh,
this
no,
is
I know that's what it is.
here's what happens when you get an appraisal that comes in lower than the purchase price. The very first reaction by the agents on both sides is, oh my God, that appraiser doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh,
Right.
you know the definition of a good appraiser in everybody's mind
Uh-huh.
is the one that hits their number.
Hits the number.
Yeah,
of
it's
course.
Doesn't
whatever
matter
the
if I'm
number
a
is.
genius and I did
He's
a
the
wonderful
best.
job. If
Yeah.
I didn't hit that number.
Right.
It's so true. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the kill the messenger thing is
Yeah.
so true in that profession more than anything else.
Well, and you know, we take it so seriously. If we're coming in low on a number, we know it's hurt people's lives, you know, but you got to be honest. You know,
got a
you're
job
the
to
only
do.
one in the whole thing that doesn't have any skin in the game.
And
Yeah.
on top of it, your license and your license online, people forget that they have to hit federal standards to justify the numbers they do. They can't just throw stuff in the report, right? Am I correct about all that?
Not only the federal, state, I can be audited. They can randomly pull any file. They literally will just pull files out of your cabinet.
Mhm.
So any appraisal that I do, I might end up in court. It might get audited by the state. I have to meet a ton of federal guidelines. And if any of that stuff isn't right, I'm out of a career.
Right. So when you make a reconsideration or dispute an appraisal, you're up against somebody that has to work within guidelines that are set for them. So even though you might not agree with those guidelines or something and think something should be looked at differently, they have to do what's based on how they interpret those guidelines, and they just can't willy-nilly decide, okay, you're right, you got the new kitchen, it's 50,000 extra. You can't go like that.
And
Right.
it's so often, and I even had this, you know, just last week, that we're looking for the most similar properties to compare it to. And what people will do so often is, okay, I've got a 2,000 square foot house. Well, this 1,000 square foot house just sold for this, so it's this much per foot. So now just extrapolate that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how it works, because the person who's buying a 2,000 square foot house is not the same person that's buying a 1,000 foot house. They're two different
Exactly.
markets.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. We talked about the federal, state, and other regulatory standards that you have to comply by. What happens when you do a private appraisal? Because when you're doing the other type of appraisal, you're really not working for the buyer or the seller. As you mentioned, you're independent, and you're an independent person to make sure that the bank isn't overpaying on that loan they're giving the buyer, correct? That's basically the concept on that, right?
I mean,
Is
that's the
there-
concept, is just to make sure we're a gatekeeper, to make sure that, well, for one thing, and occasionally it happens, there's fraud, or, sometimes I always say, people say they're willing to pay more, but they're not. They're willing to borrow more. The bank's the one that's going to have to pay more. So is it worth more? Is it worth $20,000 more than the last sale just because you really want it? Maybe not. You might have to come out with that out of pocket.
Now, when you do a private appraisal, do you have those same, like, there's
still a lot of regulatory things that are involved. The things that won't be involved then are Fannie Mae or HUD guidelines, which has to do with mortgage financing. But I still have all the state rules. I still have the profession rules. I still have to develop my numbers in a credible way. So otherwise, the lenders all have their different criteria, and those are, like, for example, I have one lender, if I don't send in a picture of a fire smoke detector, I'm going to get that file back.
Interesting.
Well, but it's only one lender out of
that's weird
100 that I've worked with. So I don't have any of those lender requirements. I don't have any of the Fannie Mae requirements, and obviously no HUD guidelines. But I still have the guidelines of the profession, the guidelines of the state. I could still get ripped apart and lose my license pretty easy.
So is the picture of the smoke detector just to make sure, like, you doing everything they say?
Oh, yeah.
How does that impact an appraisal?
It's like the brown.
Well, it has nothing to do with the number. It's all about liability. And in this profession, all liability possible gets shifted to the appraiser.
Okay. So they just heap it all on you, including this little subtle little thing to be like, just to make sure you're checking every box. We need a picture of a smoke detector.
So I think FHA and VA specifically require smoke detectors, right? And
they require that the home be code compliant and that it meets safety and health record. But so in Palm Beach County, it's the health department that defines that.
Okay.
But me just stating it in the report is sufficient.
Yes. That's
but
what I was
for
going to
that
say.
one lender.
Yeah, they want the picture of it as well.
Right.
They probably, that lender got burned, like somehow a deal.
No pun intended.
Yeah. They got burned. They had to essentially buy back a loan and keep it on their books, and there was probably some reason for that related to smoke detector. So they're like, okay, here's our policy. We now require a picture of the smoke detector. Do they actually? Do you have to do an audio too?
We test it, but no. I know. I laugh. Well, I laugh when I'm doing an appraisal and a train's going by, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just embed a video for this to go by with the noise.
Yeah.
But besides that, they did the same thing with, back after the implosion in 2010. They said, okay, you have to have a picture of every room. You have to have a picture of the kitchen. You have to have a picture of every bathroom. That wasn't the case before then.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. So let's say I'm in a gated community, where all the homes are pretty similar,
Cookie cutter.
right? Yeah, cookie cutter kind of neighborhood. And I'm sitting down with a person, and we're going over the comps, and they're like, and it comes up sometimes. Do you think that we should have an appraisal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in most situations like that, do you think an appraisal is needed for that type of neighborhood? And let's just go with that question first.
Well, it really depends on the situation. A lot of times I'll do an appraisal for realtor. Like, I do a fair amount of appraisals that are referred by realtors, either because the seller's maybe not being realistic, maybe on their number, or there's some very unique attributes and they're not really sure where it might appraise out at. Even in a cookie cutter neighborhood, if they've got a nicer pool or a nicer view or so, a bigger yard or whatever it is. The thing is, it's a subjective process, and I don't really know what the bank appraiser is going to think. He may approach it differently. His thoughts may be completely different.
Now let me probe a little deeper here, right? I was waiting for I looked right over at Mike as soon as I said that. I was waiting. Okay.
Johnny was about to say
what's going to happen.
Even as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, I should say
Probies begin.
Johnny looked at Jimothy and winked, I think.
I was like, I thought the probe started at 11.
So my question though is, so if somebody does a private appraisal and then they put the house on the market and then a buyer comes and they have financing and they require an appraisal, can I just give them the appraisal I paid for and give it to them?
You can. I mean, and I would, but if it helps you, but
could they use it? Could that
no?
That's
when
what
I
I'm
first
asking.
started,
You can't use that as the appraisal.
No, when I started in the business 20 years ago, you could get an appraisal ahead of time. You could hand it to the buyer. They could hand it to the mortgage, and it was good. But that was back before air conditioning. So now
I'm never going to live that down with AJ. Okay, I got to ask him what kind of bottle he needs, right, to make sure that he's taken care of.
But the thing is, so when I go out to do an appraisal, appraisers look from today backwards. We want to see what has happened, what is closed. Realtors and sellers and buyers, they look forward. What's the competition? What's on the market now? So I had a home, somebody called me on back in November, and I appraised it. I'm just going to use fake numbers because I'm not allowed to disclose exact numbers. But so let's say I appraised it for 490
million.
Million. Yes, sure. It was Jeff Bezos.
Use a fake number.
So I appraised it for that, but then I talked to them afterwards and said, look, this is the appraisal. Do you have any questions about the appraisal? We went through all that. And then I said, okay, now there's homes on the market. All of the competitive homes in your neighborhood are priced at $550 and you're getting ready to sell. Why would you list for $490? So ask $540, start backing it down if you need to get rid of it. By the time you get the contract, by the time the appraiser comes out, it might be 2 or 3 months down the road. There might be new comps. And, maybe it'll be 510 or 520. And then if it comes in light, you could deal with it. So I always try to give advice it depends on the intended use of the appraisal. And I try to get people their money's worth. If they call me because they want to understand something, I want to help them understand that. But the appraisal report is always going to be done to certain standards and without any special considerations,
So let me ask you this. When do you think it's appropriate to do the private appraisal, and when do you think it's sometimes not worth doing the private appraisal?
Well, I mean, most of the time, if you're looking to sell the home, and I always, when someone calls me and they say, I'm getting ready to list the home or put it up for sale, and I'd like to know what it's worth, the first thing I tell them is call 3 realtors, get them out there, get somebody to come out and tell you what they think. And you could get that done for free. Now, if you want to pay me, it's going to be more expensive because I do a different thing, and so I would say it's more of, again, those special attributes, special locations. If you're concerned that the realtors aren't going to be able to maybe have the experience or the knowledge to really come out with a solid number, the good reasoning.
Like, here's an example. I remember I was in Winston Trails in Lake Worth one time, and this one person had this unusual lot. When the developer was building this phase, they were going to put a second property behind them. And then they found out that the lot was too small.
Yeah.
So they just gave them the land. They just deeded the extra land. So they had an extra piece of land. It wasn't big enough to put another lot on it, obviously, but it was an oversized lot. So they thought that was super valuable because it was so unique in that neighborhood. Nobody else could get it.
Well, it's like that 1,000 square foot versus the 2,000 square foot thing again. That, yes, you're worth something more than the lot that's half your size. But if a lot that's normal in the neighborhood is, let's say, has a contributory value of $5 a square foot normally for small variances of a couple thousand square feet. Well, if it's a 10,000 foot difference or a half acre difference, it's not going to be $5 a foot anymore. It's going to be something less usually. There's diminishing returns on the size on the variances.
Interesting. No.
Oh, I thought you, because when I saw you.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry. Okay. So how much does I know that I know you're going to hate this, but you have to, we're always trying to be transparent. I'm not asking you to set a price for every house because every house is different. But let's just say you had a typical 3 or 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot home on a 1/4 acre lot or less. Roughly, what do you think the appraisals would be for that on a private appraisal?
Well, I'll state it a little differently.
Okay.
The easiest work that I do, and it's all about time, right? I'm trying to get paid by the hour just like everybody else. So the lowest price we usually do is about 400. There are even more cut down or less accurate appraisals that can be done for less. But for a normal appraisal, 400 is usually my bottom. And then on the upper end, it's maybe, 800, and it just depends. And everybody that calls tells me the same thing. I'll be driving in my car, I'll pick up the call, and they'll say, hey, I got a 3.2 in Boynton Beach, and it's got a 2-car garage. So what do you charge for that? Well, I don't know. I got to look and see. You might have unique attributes, and there might just not be any sales. And if there's no sales, well, now I've got to spend all this extra time going back and finding older sales, going further out and finding sales that are less proximate, doing things that take me a lot of time that aren't going to be readily understandable to somebody. Everybody thinks their home's real basic. My home should be 500, no problem.
Everything's real quick.
Yeah,
everything's
going to be easy. It's going to be in and out.
So, but let's say we have, I remember I had this one property where it was on either 5 or 10 acres, and it had the house on it, and it had a full service 4-stall stable and 2 out stables that had some electric and water, but not as elaborate. Just a lot of stuff going, and a pool. They had a lot of stuff going on with the property. That's going to be a lot more complicated for you, right? Because we did do an appraisal on that one. I don't know if you did it. I can't remember, but
I don't think so.
It was very complicated. And
well, so here's my answer. The right off the bat, yes, it's going to cost a little more no matter what, just because of the extra time to measure those extra things. Document, we have to sketch all of them, and it's going to take me longer at the property. But if you're in a neighborhood where everybody's 5 acres, then that's no big deal. And if you're in a neighborhood where everybody's got equestrian facilities and it's going to be easy for me to bracket and everybody's got a pool, it's not going to be, maybe I'll be 500 instead of 4. But if you're in a neighborhood where everybody's 1.25 acres, or nobody else has the equestrian stuff, and now I'm going to have to spend all this extra time, I might be 600 or 800. So it's really hard to gauge it. It comes down to complexity. It's very subjective, and it comes down to me estimating how much time it's going to take me to write the file, but that's based on over 20 years of experience.
Right.
I quoted somebody 1,200 last month, and right off the bat, they were like, no, you got to be able to do something. And then, no, I can't. Because I could go to Burger King for $20 an hour and get benefits.
Right. Exactly.
If I'm going to sit here and stare at this computer for a week, it's, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. If you want it done properly, you have to pay for it based on the situation. Anybody can give you an appraisal. It's an accurate appraisal is what you're looking for. Right.
And a lot of times people go, well, look, I don't need all that. I just need a number. Well, if I hand you a number on a piece of paper, that's an appraisal. I have to have work file for 5 years. I have to retain it. I have to have reasoning for how I develop that number. I can't.
You can't just say
there is no
550.
cut down version for
you can't
me.
just say 550.
Yeah, because I still have to be able to defend it.
It's also like, what's the point of the private appraisal? There's got to be some goal that you're seeking, which is like, what's it going to appraise for when a buyer's involved, right? Usually, unless you just want to know what my home is worth. Well, right? Like, hey, what's my home worth? I'm going to pay you whatever.
I get some of that.
You get some of that?
My most common stuff is for taxes. An accountant will say you need an appraisal because you inherited this property 5 years ago, and now you're selling it.
I think you just make it up for tax purposes, right? Isn't that what
a lot of people probably do. But so I do a lot of those where I'm doing a retrospective appraisal for taxes. The other one, any kind of estate, probate, trust.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times if it's an estate, maybe they inherited it 2 years ago, but now the family's finally through probate and they're going to sell it to Uncle Bill, and the family, 6 different participants, want to make sure it's a fair deal.
Sure.
So I'll come out for those.
Or maybe divorces, like buyout situations.
Those are my next 2, divorces and equity buyouts. If somebody was partners on a property, and even if they're not married, a lot of couples or whatever, if they split up and they want to divide the interest in the property, those are really my biggest ones. That and landlords selling to their tenants.
Yeah, that's true. That happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I do a lot of those. Otherwise, like I said, realtors, cash buyers, if they just want to double check and make sure before they, plunk $500,000 down that they're not getting hurt too bad on it. And the last thing that I get a lot of now is for immigration, for proof of I forget what they call it, proof of equity. So if you're sponsoring somebody for immigration as part of your package that you're submitting to immigration to show that you have the financial wherewithal to support that person, the equity. Now, there's an example where a lot of times I'll tell people, look, you only owe 100,000 on your house. The tax roll says it's worth 300. If you can show 200,000 in equity, the immigration will accept that tax roll as evidence of the value, and you don't need me to come out. But if it's worth 500 and you need a little bit more than what the tax roll is showing, and that happens a lot, you know, the tax rolls are in arrears, and you know, so we get some of those. So a lot of different reasons people call me for.
Okay, yeah.
Experienceappraisers.com.
Do you feel like there's any market that we've been in recently over the different market changes that we've had where the appraisals are more important than other times?
I mean, when everything was imploding, yes.
Okay,
You know,
so during the crash, the last big crash.
All of a sudden people went from just make the, you know, from their perspective, just make the number, I just want the loan to go through, to, hey, I'm really scared. Am I making a good decision? And all of a sudden people really cared a lot more about the meat, the information behind the
Because
appraisal.
the market was cratering. So if you bought today, you might be 30% underwater a year from now.
I called it catching a falling knife.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good way. Yeah. I called it chasing the market, like chasing a downward market where, you know, you're going down there. Let me give you a real life example. I'm not going to give you the community. There's a condo community that had a bunch of assessments. And when I did the comps on it last June, less than a year ago, the units were going for 385 to 440, depending on the condition of the unit. Okay. But because of all these assessments, there's been a flood of people putting their condos on the market. And now the closings are like 230 to 280.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, crazy.
I haven't seen one that bad myself.
Yeah. I'll tell you the community off air. And what happened is they already had 3 assessments that were pricey. And now there's a 4th one coming. So everybody, the ones that don't want to be around anymore, they're like, I'm selling it. I'm paying for the assessment. Just get rid of this property. So they're getting like 230 to 280. But there are other ones on the market that were at the prices that they were
from before
back in the day. And they're just sitting there too.
Yeah.
If somebody got the real price for it, let's just say they were on the market for 400. I just gave you rough numbers.
Yeah.
And they were on the market for 400 and they got 400. Let's just say that happened. But we had all those other ones at 230 to 280.
Right.
But last June they were 400.
Right.
What would happen like in that?
And I got a lot of this during the downturn, you know, that somebody would say, well, I'm not a desperate seller, right? Those people are forced to sell and therefore they're selling for less.
Right.
And there's some truth to that. And I understand that. And in a normal market, like right now, if there's a foreclosure up the street that sells low, I'm not going to use that as a comp because foreclosures aren't common right now. The problem was in the downturn, there was 30 foreclosures and 5 regular sales, and they were all for the same price. And that's the thing. That person that was lucky enough to get a 400 contract, if there's 3 equivalent units for sale at 2 something
Not
that are the
just that, they
same,
closed.
well, then that's the market.
Okay. So even though that if it wasn't for these assessment things that were being dealt with.
Well, that's theoretical.
Right.
I don't know.
And I totally get it. Right. So it's really important because the owner was thinking that they were still going to get close to that 4. And I was like, I don't think if we get a finance person, I don't know if it'll price.
Well, even the appraisal aside, my biggest concern there would be who's going to pay that, you know?
Yes. Well, it was a great show this week. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, AJ and Johnny.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jimmy D.
Yes. Thank you.
Always great to have you all along on a Saturday. We do this every single Saturday for 12 plus years now.
12
plus years now.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And it's been wonderful. So many in the Real Radio audience have utilized this team one way or another. If you maybe are going to need this team. You never know how life throws curveballs at you. What you need to do is lock in FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We call it the one-stop real estate shop for a reason. You get access to pros. These are unbelievable. These people are unbelievable at what they do. I've experienced it. Many of my friends and family have as well. When you're talking about pros, there's lots of folks that are good at what they do. You need to go to people that are great at what they do. And if you have that resource, man, it's great. Florida Talk Real Estate is just that resource. You go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, remember Florida Talk Real Estate. Lots of information. And on YouTube, there's a ton of informational chunk videos to consume. There's a lot to consume and a lot that you don't know, the known knowns and the unknown knowns. But these people all know everything you don't know. And what they don't know, they know as well. And they always seek out the proper information to get what you're trying to get done right. Seen it for 12 plus years now. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. It's
Always a
the
pleasure.
unknown unknowns that'll get you.
Truly.
Yeah,
Every
those are the
time.
tough ones.
Yeah, those are the ones I trip up on.
Yep.
AJ Hollman with Experienced Appraisers. It is great to have you with us on a Saturday. Don't be a stranger. You join us again, all right?
Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure. And Jimmy D, there's Jim DePolo with the Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations. I hope you have a great weekend. And as always, way to knock it out of the park.
Thank you. Area code 210. I'll call you off air about your massive student loan debt. They want to buy a house. They need student loan debt relief. We can help them with that. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Absolutely can. I
Yep.
say we got fingers in the pulse of just about everything. And when I say we, I mean they. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Jimothy, we'll be listening.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your weekend, my friend.
You guys as well. Thank
We'll see you
so
next
much.
Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate, 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday right here on Real Radio.